Joining me tonight, returning to KnicksFanTV. It's been a while. Alex Wolf from the Strickland and Locked On Knicks. Alex, how you doing, man? Welcome back, bro.
I am great, man. I'm happy to be back here. You know, it's been so long since I was last on here. I was like the part-time Sunday co-host for a while.
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. So
yeah,
that definitely had to bring you back.
Very happy to be back. Very happy to be back with KnicksFanTV and with, the coolest YouTube channel on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then we got special guests in the building from SNY. He goes by Ian Begley during the day. At nighttime, he's Ian from Rockland County. Ian, what's going on, man? Welcome back, man. What's going on?
CP, what's up, bro? How are you?
Yeah, doing all right, man. It's been a rough week. Had a little smoke going on this week. I'll get to that later. But, everything is good, all things considered, man. Everything's good.
I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, a couple issues, Al. You know what I'm saying? A little issue going on, but I'm all right.
I got to see if Ian's allowed to talk smack on Max now that he's with SNY instead of, ESPN now.
Well, listen, all I'll say is I like the receipts. I guess you kids call them receipts, right? That are flying around.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot
Twitter. Because all I ask for is consistency from everybody, but particularly media members. So
100%.
That's it.
Yeah, man. So as we look forward to the kickoff of the second half, obviously trade rumors, man. A lot of people have the trade deadline on their minds. Trade deadline coming up on March 25th. Couple names, the couple consistent names that are being bandied about, Ian. It's the Oladipos, the Lonzos, and so on. What are you hearing as of late?
Lonzo, as of a few weeks ago, I was told that the price was still pretty high. And then there was a report more recently that the Pelicans actually weren't open to moving Lonzo. But I have to imagine that if a team offers enough, you can get Lonzo Ball in the trade. The thing about that, though, is if you like him, he's going to be a restricted free agent this summer. So how much are you really going to give up just to get him in your program for a few months and then to hope to re-sign him? I mean, I guess there's some value in that, but I think most teams would say we're just going to wait for the offseason if they want to throw Lonzo Ball a lot of money. And I know at least one person, several people, I should say, in that Knick organization that see the value in adding Lonzo. But like everything else, it depends on the price. My best guess now is you're more likely to see a move to bring on a veteran, maybe boost the offense, maybe a shooter. JJ Redick, I think, is on the radar. So I think that's more likely move, like a Redick type, than, trading a lot for an Oladipo or a bigger name player like that.
Yeah, I mean, Al, I don't know what you think, but with Lonzo, with Oladipo, that's my thinking. I don't really want to give up. I don't really want to give up a Kev or a young player or anything for a guy that could potentially be a rental going into the offseason. You just don't know. They're saying Oladipo might want to choose Miami, and I don't know. For that type of player, I think I'd rather wait until free agency if they really want him.
Yeah, I guess if you're really serious about Lonzo, sort of to Ian's point, you get the restricted free agent rights there, which is important if you're trying to retain him. You can shield yourself against some other team going crazy with an offer, or in the case of like if you're the Knicks and you're trying to wait till the summer for Lonzo, you shield yourself from having to give up a huge amount of money to retain him potentially, or to get him, I should say. But I wouldn't give up a ton. Same goes for Oladipo, who if he's Miami bound, then why why even go for him? But I would say, that as with both of them, I wonder if maybe the cost is maybe lower than what we might think. I don't think that people would have thought Derrick Rose would be available for a second round pick and, Dennis Smith Jr. when, there's allegedly sort of a bidding war for him where the Clippers were interested, the Knicks were interested, whatever. So maybe it'll surprise you and the price is lower than you think. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like just from the standpoint of would I do it? I wouldn't do it if it costs anything significant, because what's the point,
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just stand pat with what we have, and if there's an offer to be made where the cost is low, certainly look at it. Lonzo might not be a bad option in the offseason, depending on how the draft goes. His 3-point numbers up there. Last 10, he's shooting 40% from three in his last 10. So you're hoping that the shot is real. He can facilitate. He can defend. So I think I would keep Lonzo move in the back pocket in the offseason, depending on how the draft goes, for sure. Ian, what about like a Rozier? That's another name we always hear about. That Rozier for like 3 years, man. Is it
Yeah.
finally, is it real?
Well, last year, like before the deadline, I know that Knicks had interest in Rozier, and actually, I think a package with Randall was
Yeah.
something that was discussed internally. It's funny to think about that now with the way Randall has played this year. But I think with Rozier, I think it's just about what Charlotte's thinking longer term. I think more likely there they do have the log jam in the backcourt, but I think more likely there is Devontae Graham is the player that gets traded. Rozier's played so well recently, and so I think that teams are going to call on him. But I think you would really have to knock Charlotte's socks off, so to speak, to get deep into a conversation on Rozier just because of his age, the way he's played lately. So, I'm sure that teams, again, will call there, but I would expect if there's a move to be made for Charlotte, probably Graham is the first one to be moved.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at Graham, we had our own Graham in quickly, man. So I'd rather just see IQ get those minutes. But with Rozier as well, Charlotte has something to play for. They're right in the mix in terms of the playoff hunt as well. So and he seems to be a guy that's been a spark in that offense. So I'm not so sure, Al, if Rozier would be that piece for us. But we need the shooting, man. We definitely need the shooting. Alex, from that standpoint, is there a play that you have on your mind that you feel like could give this roster a spark?
Oh man, as far as like a trade player,
Yeah,
or I don't know if there's anybody that really leaps out to me. I guess maybe if you're talking about guys, I guess the Hornets are very popular as far as this is concerned. If you could pry Malik Monk from them, although the whole reason you want him is because he's playing well lately, so I doubt that they're going to be lining up to trade him. But he could be a guy that could potentially provide things that the Knicks need: shooting, a little bit of extra ball handling. And same deal as with Lonzo, although you're dealing with this with Frank now too this offseason. He's a restricted free agent. So if you really like him, that Kentucky connection is shining through, all that, you get a chance to re-sign him on your terms in the offseason rather than having to go crazy with a restricted free agent bid. So maybe a guy I'd look into. But, I think if you're doing that, I wouldn't do it just in a vacuum. Like, I would do that if there was a situation where you were trading out, say, a Burks for some other asset and then giving up a small asset in return to get Monk, sort of get a little younger, get someone who's maybe more part of the long-term future. But that's about it for me. Otherwise, I'm kind of with you. I don't feel this urgency to change things up because the chemistry is so good. That's part of what's made this team so great this year.
Yeah, the chemistry's been pretty good. I just feel like between Burks and Bullock, they just got to do their job, man. They just got to shoot the ball more consistently is what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Especially Bullock in that starting lineup. You want him to be able to get those threes off in volume and really be a spark in the offense. Despite Julius's prowess and getting the team together and being an excellent playmaker, the offense is still near the bottom of the league.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you find no arguments from me there.
Yeah. And then speaking of the front office, Ian, your own Weitzman had written that piece in the Post, giving us an inside look into the Knicks front office yesterday. I thought it was a great piece. I also had him on the show earlier today. We did a podcast. Ian, I'll start with you. What were your takeaways from that article?
Yeah, interesting. Good reporting by your own. Tip my hat to him. I mean, as a reporter covering the Knicks, you always hate when a competitor gets a good story. That was a good one. And, I think that the interesting thing for me is, we kind of talked about in the offseason how some people in the organization wanted to win now. And he reported that Thibodeau had some of those win now moves in mind. And then there were factions who wanted to slow play it. And clearly those factions won out, and it's worked out well so far. And so I guess now, today, this story to me matters only if, like, Julius Randle reads that line about Tom Thibodeau not being fully sold on him before he started to work with him in those mini camps, and he gets upset about it. Or RJ Barrett or Mitchell Robinson see the line about Thibodeau, like, looking to trade those guys for veterans or being open to that idea, and they get upset about it, right? Because the only impact here is if it impacts relationships within the organization. Is it going to do that? Yeah. I don't know. You've seen it happen with plenty of teams in the past where something gets reported and people get upset. I don't know if it's going to happen here. I'd be a little bit surprised if it did, especially because we're in March now and the Knicks have played well. If this story came out and the Knicks were struggling,
Yeah.
I think it could have more of a detrimental impact. But the idea that they're sitting here at 19 and 18, exceeding everybody's expectations, I think the impact internally isn't going to be as great.
Yeah, I think the thing I took away was that the conflicting visions. I guess every front office you're not always going to see eye to eye on everything, but you have Brock Aller, who is the capologist and the guy who's trying to do things on the margins and find you the bargains to assemble your team, and then on the other hand you have Tibbs, who's like, get me Gordon Hayward. Get me, Marcus Morris is in that article. Bogdanovich, Tibbs, as you see with the guys he's playing right now, he's trying to put this team in a position to win. He's trying to get those wins up there. So it's just interesting to see which way they will swing, whether it's player development or win now, and when they ultimately pull that trigger, man.
Yeah, it's funny. I was listening to Yaron on Macri's pod earlier today. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, some stuff about that, and just in general, like the vibe that he's gotten, that there does seem to be those divisions and stuff like that. And he also said that the article could sort of be, depending on what Knicks fan you talk to, you can identify if they're a optimistic or pessimistic Knicks fan based off what their reaction to the article was, because the optimist looks at it and says, all right, well, clearly Leon Rose made the right decisions, and It's good to have lots of voices in your ear. It's good to have different opinions, and in particular have a staff that's diverse in their opinion and, is willing to throw things at the wall. And as long as they're not being made like demands, like as long as it's a suggestion from Tom Thibodeau and not him being like, I quit if you don't trade for someone, then I think it's maybe a good thing, to have it. To me, the part about Tibbs, it shows he wants to win, which is cool. That's very apparent with the way that he's coached this year. He's not trying to mail this in. He was never trying to have a tank year like people thought they were going to have. He wanted to win, period. And he wants players that are going to help him do that. So, of course, that's what he's going to be lobbying for in the front office. And then, you have a guy like Brock Aller, whose job is to accumulate assets and to manage the cap and set the Knicks up for that big splash that they need to make at some point. And so, of course, his approach is going to be, well, let's sign some guys that we can flip halfway through the season and get some more picks, because we need these picks for the eventual big star trade down the line, which ultimately, if it happens, will satisfy both their goals. It'll satisfy Tibbs and it'll satisfy him. So, ultimately, I guess I fall into the optimist category, where I read that story and I said, you know what? On the surface, you might look at this and say like, oh, tension, but what workplace is there not tension? Ultimately it is, it's a workplace, they're going to have difference of opinion, and Rose is the boss. And so as long as Rose is making the right decisions, he's got a pass for me, at least until he screws up the first time.
Yeah, same here, man. Honeymoon phase is still in place, man. But I thought another takeaway from that was Worldwide West. You got another look into who Worldwide West was, the influence he had on the Quickly pick, some of his character as well. It's just interesting. But I just, it seemes like West is really that number 2 guy, man. What do you make of that? And when you look at a guy like a Scott Perry, where does he fit into that situation?
I mean, I think from day one, even before West came on officially, just people around the league kind of speculating, thought that West would be involved in decisions. And then obviously he comes on officially, and it's clear that he has a powerful voice in the organization. Mm-hmm. And he's got, long-standing relationship with the owner, Jim Dolan, goes way back with Leon Rose. They're incredibly close. So he has a voice, and he's going to have influence on what they do today, tomorrow, 6 months from now, and whatever. So that's going to be the case regardless. And I don't think it would be the case if he was here unofficially too, just because he and Rose are so close. They've been business partners forever. And so I thought that, he also was in favor, or at least I'd heard of going after Malik Beasley. And obviously that didn't come to fruition for various reasons, but they made a strong push there. So you look at Wes, and then if you want to project forward, you can look at the guys coming out of Kentucky or guys who have played at Kentucky, as your own pointed out in that article, as players who could be on the Knicks radar because of the connections there between Wes and the program. But there's no doubt he's got a heavy influence. And with regards to Scott Perry, anytime you're on a one-year deal, there's going to be questions about your future. But everything that I'd heard was that the working relationship has been solid with Perry and Rose in the new group. And I think that they appreciate where Perry had brought the Knicks in terms of the cap situation and the future first-round draft picks. I mean, listen, nobody's going to argue, at least I would never argue that the Porzingis trade leading up to free agency in 2019 was a good move, because if it was a good move, David Fizdale would still be here, Steve Mills would still be here. But they did set themselves up for future flexibility. I think Leon and his group appreciate that. So I don't think it's out of the question that Scott Perry actually returns next year in this role or a different role.
Very interesting indeed. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP, Ian Begley, Alex Wolf here on the mid-season report. In 20 minutes, these guys are going to go head-to-head in a trivia contest. And we have a link in the chat right now. Click on that link and predict your winner. If you predict the right winner, those of you that predict the correct winner will enter into a drawing. I'm giving away a $50 NBA store gift card. I'm feeling generous tonight. I'm giving away a $50 NBA store gift card to one lucky fan tonight. So make sure you guys click on the link. It's going around in the chat. It's pinned to the top of the chat. Predict who you think is going to win tonight's trivia contest. Ian Begley, Alex Wolf. And we'll see who comes out the winner tonight. Let's go to the phone.
Can I vote for Ian and stack the deck here?
You got to vote for Ian. Go ahead, Ian.
$50 gift card. I want to click the link.
Hey, go ahead, man. Bet on yourself. If you're a better man, go ahead and bet on yourself. The link is in the chat, man. No worries.
Ian's trying to do the wholesome thing and bet for himself, and I'm trying to rig it like my Tim Donaghy over here.
All right, let's hear it for the people, man. Will from LI. Will, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, what's going on, CP, Ian Begley, Alex? How you guys doing this evening?
Good, man. How you feeling, bro?
Will, what's up?
Good. First off, I want to say the audio on the phone sounds amazing. I don't know.
We upgraded, baby. We upgraded.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We upgraded, man. All those super chats came in. We put it back into the channel, man. So we appreciate the people, bro.
Good stuff. Listen, man, I just want to talk about the second half of the season and what I'm looking forward to. Listen, man, I don't think it's ever been. It's not a secret that I'm with Jay and I'm with Ari. I want to build through the draft, but going through of the second half of the season, I think we got like the fourth hardest record in the league upcoming. Listen, this is how I feel about it. If we stay between 4 and 5, I have no issues going into the playoffs with that record. Okay, that means, we're going to go up against maybe the Pacers, the Heat. I feel like that's something we can do. And if you want to talk about playoff experience, I think that's something we can work with. But for me, if we're in 6, 7, or 8, I might as well not even want to go in there. I'll take all the L's. Give me all the L's.
Will, man, you're supposed to take on all the smoke, man. Come on, Will, bro.
We see. Do you see the teams? 1, 2, and 3. The Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, and Philly. There is no playoff experience in being another team's punching bag. So for me, if I'm like 4 or 5, I'll go to the playoffs. But if I'm not, hey, just get me out that playoff and get me into that draft. That's how I feel about it. I'm gonna be all set.
Appreciate the call, man. Listen, guys, 5 through 10 is going to be absolute. 5 through even 13 could be a dogfight as far as the Knicks are concerned. Right now they're sitting in 5th. Yeah, I agree with Will. Ideally, for this to be a special season, if they sit within 4 or 5 and they're looking at a Boston, maybe a Miami, a team that they could potentially win some games off of in a series, maybe even win a series, I think that'd be ideal. But, obviously if they fall within 6, 7, 8 and they got to, see the Bucks, the Nets, the Sixers, it'll be a long season. But I think, look, either way, the season is a success in my eyes, whether they make it or not. I don't know what you guys think.
If I may, weren't the Nets 3 years ago went 41-41, if I remember right?
Yeah.
Came in as the 6th seed and got walloped by the Sixers in the first round. I think they stole one game off them in game 1 and then lost 4 straight in very dramatic fashion. So look at what happened to them. A year later, they signed Durant and Irving. So I don't know. Are we not putting any value to making the playoffs and at least showing that you're that caliber of team, that you have a coach that can get you there, that you have some pieces that can at least get you to the playoffs, and then that throws up the bat signal for some star, whether it's via trade or via free agency, to say, okay, if I go to the Knicks, they're ready now. They're finally ready. They're not looking for a savior. They're looking for a finishing piece.
Yeah.
That can put them to the next level. That's how I look at it. So that's why I don't really care about getting walloped in the first round if you got to face the Sixers, the Bucks, or the Nets. It would sting a little with the Nets, but it is what it is. It's fine.
Yeah, Brooklyn would sting, man. Ian, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm not here to tell anybody how to think, but I do think that just there is value in general in getting these young guys, any young players, into a playoff setting. And I think in particular for this franchise, right, it's important to be able to show free agents or disgruntled players who are looking for a way out that they're not going to be alone on the court if they come here. They're not going to take all the blame for bad losses or a team that doesn't reach expectations. If there's a young core here that shows that, hey, we're on the precipice of winning, as Alex pointed out with the Nets, I think it's an easier sell for free agents. And because I know, there are some top players in the past who said, I don't want to be the only guy here. I mean, they saw what happened with Carmelo and how he got crushed, deservedly or undeservedly. But he was the guy who took all the bullets when things didn't go well. And the roster, there was so much roster turnover when he was here. So I think it's important. I think there's value in making the playoffs, even if you're only going to bow out in the first round, because other players are going to see, hey, this young core, look what they did together. Yeah. Maybe I can be the guy to help push them forward rather than I'm coming here alone and I'm going to get crushed and hurt my legacy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think that, if they're able to maintain 4, 5, 6, 7, I think it's an indication that RJ played a consistent, finished the year well, because Julius is going to need help. And I think the guy that we need to be consistent night in, night out is going to be RJ. And so far, he's trending well. Since January 1st, he's been shooting 40% from 3. Last 11 games, he's at 55% from 3. I think that would be a good sign. If they're able to maintain this position, within 4 to 7 playoff, that means that they're able to win some of these games, and that RJ is really going to be that Robin to Julius's Batman. And so when we talk about player development, when we talk about that growth and showing free agents that we have a core here, I think he's going to be important to that growth, and he could be that key piece. He could definitely be that key piece. Go ahead, Al.
I was just say, I'm with you. I mean, I think it's all about selling this to you got to sell what you're building, and the best way to sell it is by winning. Period. There's yes, I can understand people that would be upset about missing out on a lotto pick in this year's draft, but all that missing out on that means is that the team was too good to be a lottery team for once, and that says something. They have talent, why do you, okay, I won't say it. Like, you can always use more lottery talent, but it proves that you don't need them, and your team is already good enough to make the playoffs, and you already have, talented young players. So yes, maybe adding Cade Cunningham or something would be a good point to, add to your resume, I guess, if you were really in need like that. But, as it stands, they're going to have a number of pieces. They're going to have the ability to make a trade for a star. They're going to be an attractive destination for free agents. So it's like, you don't get to play the future game this year, but you get to play in the here and now, and you get to work with what you got and, have good pieces available. And I think that's just as valuable in many ways, especially when you consider it's a deep draft, and they'll probably still have 2 picks between 10 and 20 anyway.
Hopefully.
So you can fill in the gaps now.
In Porzingis we trust, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP, Ian Begley, Alex Wolfen here. A salute to First Lady of Sports. Sends us a super chat. He says, LaMarcus Aldridge is available. Should the Knicks consider him? He's more of a pick and pop player and can play center. Ian, what do you think about that? It's been reported today that LaMarcus Aldridge and the Spurs are going to part ways. Do you think he'd be a Knicks target?
I don't see, there's an obvious role there.
Yeah.
Maybe the Knicks feel differently, but to me, you have 4s and 5s that you want to give minutes to, whether it's Julius Randle, Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, Nerlens Noel. It seems like you're okay there. So to give up assets for a player like LaMarcus Aldridge, there's no obvious fit there to me.
Yeah, me neither, Alex. I mean, to me, again, at this trade deadline, I'm looking for shooters. I'm looking for a guard or a wing, a potential upgrade either at the point or a potential upgrade at the three. And that's where I'm looking from now until straight through until the next season, between the draft and free agency, man.
Yeah, I can see the argument with Mitch down right now and Taj hurting. It's easy to get caught in the moment of like, oh, look, Noel's having to carry it all by himself every night. But they'll get healthy. When they get healthy, you're back to having a very solid three-man center rotation, where Taj wasn't going to be playing minutes anyway. So why are you going after LaMarcus Aldridge, he's clearly way too slow to play the four at this point in his career. So, and on top of it, Obi barely gets minutes behind Julius as it is. So just like Ian said, no role there. There's no clear fit, I don't think. So I wouldn't go for him.
And and that's another thing, Ian, is the Obi situation. And shout out to Brian Scott. He sends us a mailbag question on Twitter. And it's basically around the Obi situation. What does Obi need to do to get more minutes in Tibbs' rotation right now? Do you see a pathway for him to, be out there and be a contributing factor in the second half?
I mean, barring like injury where Tibbs is going to go to smaller lineups, I don't see his role expanding significantly because, Julius Randle's playing like an all-star ahead of him. And, Tom Thibodeau has referred to Randle as the Knicks engine, and it's been obvious why he would say that because they've leaned on him to do so much. So Randle playing at a Toppin, such an important role with this Knicks team. I don't think Toppin's role is going to expand again unless there's injury and then Tibbs goes with smaller lineups or, Randle gets hurt and then Toppin has to slide in and play more minutes. But organically, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't see it either, man. It's been frustrating. You want to see your brand new draft pick out there contributing and running and gunning and throwing alleys down and whatnot out, but it's been a struggle for Obi thus far, man. Seems to can't really get into a groove. This half court style of offense is not really conducive to his skill sets. What's been your overall observations of Obi in this first half?
Yeah, we actually we had a good piece on the Strickland about this week from Benji Ritholtz, and it was, he looked at Obi's game so far just to take sort of an assessment, and I agree with a lot of what he said in the post. I think the startling thing with Obi is that we thought he was going to come in, and a lot of people, myself included, maybe it was a lazy comp or maybe it was more apt, but thought that he'd be kind of like John Collins, like all offense, he'd be able to contribute right away on that end, but he might be a disaster area on defense. And meanwhile, what we've seen is like on offense, he's actually struggling a decent amount because in part it's the role that they put him in. Initially they had him being like a Steve Novak, basically just shooting threes, and I don't think that that's going to be his role, but maybe the idea was just to kind of get teams to respect him from that distance so that then he could start opening up other parts of his game. But, he's not running a lot of pick and roll. He's not doing a lot of rim running. Now that Rose has come in, he's at least looking backdoor for him a little more than like Rivers was, for example. So he's getting some of those backdoor cuts for dunks and stuff like that. But all in all, like his offense is a work in progress. On defense, though, he's been pretty good. I'm not going to go ahead and say that like he's on a Mitchell Robinson or Nerlens Noel, trajectory or something. But as far as rim protection and being able to play center, but the numbers bear out that he's been a pretty good defender at the rim this year.
It wasn't as bad as I think a lot of people predicted, especially coming out of Dayton. I don't think his defense has been that bad. It's the offense has been frustrating.
The big thing that I think carried over from his scouting report was the fact that laterally he's not great. He still gets beat on the perimeter if guys have the ability to just blow by him. But as far as hustle on defense, that like try hard factor, he's got all that. And the verticality at the rim, I think, makes up for the fact that he doesn't have a lot of strength in the lower body and whatever to kind of get in guys' way. So I've been digging it so far. I think it's worth being patient. And if you want to watch a Knicks rookie go out and light it up every single night, just watch Quickly. Just be patient with Toppin. Just pretend Quickly got drafted 8 and Toppin got drafted 25th, and it'll all make sense.
Good point. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for your squad. CP, Ian Begley, Alex Wolfen here. Make sure you predict your winner of tonight's trivia. We're going to kick it off in 10 minutes. Nick Owasicki Wiki in the chat sends a super chat. He says, how would you feel about adding a few unselfish vets like DeRozan and Lowry in the offseason to our young core instead of trading at the deadline? Ian, what do you think about that?
Well, with Lowry, there was a report out of Toronto by Michael Grains that said Toronto's not going to trade him. So he likely will hit free agency. And then, the report mentioned Miami as always being a suitor for the Knicks. Obviously, there's going to be some turnover at the point guard position. Just me, conjecture, pure speculation. I would expect if things continue to go well, Derrick Rose is back in some form or fashion. Then you have Emmanuel Quickly. Elfrid Payton, I don't know. I think that, there'll be conversations about him leading up to the deadline if other teams are calling. So there's going to be turnover. Is Kyle Lowry the fit, short term? The thing with Lowry is, A, he's going to want to get paid.
Yeah.
So he's not coming cheap. And B, he'd be a great person for the team's culture, for the locker room. But you're not getting him cheap. And I don't think he's looking to gracefully bow out. So he's going to want to play. And so does that take away minutes from a younger player, a player like Quickly? I don't know. So it doesn't seem, again, like an obvious fit for me, like Kyle Lowry. And DeRozan, some of the same reasons, but just more so positionally. Doesn't seem like an obvious fit there either. I think, if they get to free agency, the Knicks, and they don't hit on any young players that they may be targeting, I wouldn't be surprised if they went the same route that they did this past summer, trying to weaponize that cap space, gain assets in taking on unwanted deals, and continuing to push forward that way.
Interesting indeed. Let's go to the phones, Al. Antonio from New Jersey. What's going on, bro?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Huge fan. Congrats on the channel.
Thank you, man.
I was just curious what your feedback on maybe looking at Fournier and possibly Bamba. I know you were mentioning when Robinson comes back, but I don't know, just to have him on the bench. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Fournier would definitely be an intriguing pickup, man. More so than Bamba, in my opinion. Somebody out there in the wing that can score. Looks like could Orlando be sellers? Vucevic's name has been brought up. Terrence Ross is another name that people like, but I think it could a Vucevic deal, Ian, maybe trigger a sell off, and maybe if Fournier shakes loose. What do you think?
Well, if they deal Vucevic, they're blowing it up, and some people think that eventually that might happen because of the guard play that they have, and maybe he doesn't fit the style that they have, but he helps them so much, and they win the games that they win. They're winning largely because of him. I don't think they're going to deal him at the deadline. Fournier, much stronger possibility because of his contract situation. So I think they will be sellers, maybe a Terrence Ross. Bamba just hasn't worked out the way Orlando's wanted it to, Bamba's wanted it to. So, I could see them getting off of those players at the deadline, but Vucevic, I don't see it happening by the deadline.
Al, what do you think about those two guys, Fournier and then Bamba?
I like Fournier. I'm on board. I was talking about this with a couple of people from the Strickland recently, and it was just we were kind of debating back and forth, and I could see, I think that he adds a lot of scoring depth. He could do a little more than like your Reggie Bullock or even your Alec Burks as far as handling the ball, creating his own shot, shoots great from three. All that good stuff. But, he obviously had the drop off on the defense. So then it becomes, like low key, Reggie Bullock is a pretty key piece to this defense when it's really clicking.
Tibbs loves him, man. Tibbs loves him.
Yeah. And it's not even just that Tibbs loves him because he's old or whatever. Like Tibbs loves him because he works his ass off. You know what I mean? He's out there like defending guys like crazy and, all over the court, getting blocks and steals and everything else. All these like impact plays. So you're going to lose out on that with Fournier. So you got to make sure that, if you do that, you got to feel confident that, Mitch, Randall, RJ, and, I guess maybe you're looking at Quickly as the point guard of the future, whoever the point guard is there can kind of pick up the slack. I don't know for sure that would work. He might even be best as like a 6-man type, if you could talk him into that, be like, look, you're going to get like 30 minutes, but you're going to be coming in against second units to, feast on them a little bit. Maybe that's a good fit. So I'm into it. I like the idea. I don't know necessarily about trading for him because he is an unrestricted free agent and you're going to have tons of cap space. So maybe just wait till the summer. As far as Bamba, kind of similar to what you're saying. Maybe, on paper, he's like, his draft profile was almost like a realized version, or like what the realized version of Mitch is, you know, where people were just saying he's going to swat everything. He's going to be crazy. Like on defense, he's got like an 8-foot wingspan, you know, he's going to be, he could shoot a little bit, you know, he was making those empty gym 3-pointers, but that has translated a tiny bit to the NBA. I would take him for a song. You know what I mean? I would take him for nothing. Like if it was like, oh, let's swap Iggy Brazdakis for Mo Bamba, then sure, I'm on board. If it's like, oh, we want the Mavs pick or something, like, no, kick rocks. We're out here. That's basically where I'm at with him.
Another mailbag question for you from Stacy Patton 89. This is on the Quickly topic. They say, what does Emmanuel Quickly have to do for people to stop putting his ceiling at cute little 6-man and start looking at him as a franchise point guard? What's your take?
Well, I think that, you know, you so often hear those like Lou Williams 6-man comps for him. I don't know if it's a ceiling or not, but at least with the Knicks, like they targeted him clearly. You read that in Yaron's New York Post article, but they also obviously been looking for stability at point guard for the longest time. So I think that if he is showing them, and I think he has in kind of spurts here, but if he shows them that he can be, you know, a one for the long term, they're going to give him that lane. I can't get a read on if they feel that way about him right now, if they see him as the point guard of the future. I can't get insight on that. I don't think that I don't think any player would have shown enough for a franchise to commit to that role at this point in his career. But Quickly's certainly done well. I think it's more likely that at least in the near-term future, they continue to have, you know, other guards in the backcourt to either complement Quickly or maybe even start ahead of him. But certainly if he continues to play like this, he's going to continue to make the case to be a guard for this team in long-term future, starting guard.
Yeah, I definitely think it's been hard to tell, you know, what the future lies for him as far as, you know, being the starting point guard or coming off the bench or what. But you could certainly see the positives that Rose has had on him, you know, being in those lineups together and moving Quickly more in an off-ball position, man. You know, because I think we really need Quickly's 3-point shot more than anything. And so to be able to kind of take that pressure off him and be able to draw some attention away from the defense so that Quickly can get freed up in space and be able to shoot that three has been beneficial. At the same time, you know, Quickly's been a dynamo with the ball in his hands as well, Al. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm glad we got him, man. 25th pick in the draft, and he's been a steal so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be brief. Like, I think to move him from 6-man status to de facto, like, starting point guard of the future, you know, he's going to have to show off more of those distribution skills, I think, more consistently. I do think we saw right before the break, and you know, you don't want to talk about it because the Knicks are playing pretty well leading up to that. He also had that like really big garbage time game against the Spurs that sort of hid this little narrative, I guess, that's sort of emerging. But he's been a little bit, you know, looking for his own shot when it's not falling, you know, like he doesn't necessarily look to get others involved if his own shot isn't falling.
Spurs game was definitely stuck out to me in that one.
Yeah, you know, where he just kind of goes out there and thinks my job is to get buckets sometimes, and like that's it. And so maybe part of it's a mentality shift. Part of it's just going to be a trust thing too, though. You know, Tibbs is a trust guy. It seems like it takes a while to crack his shell. So you know, I would just be patient. But I think at worst, you're looking at either a phenomenal 6-man or like a starting, you know, off guard in like a Fred VanVleet kind of mold with him, which. How is that bad? You know, I don't see the rush to be like he has to be like the starting lead guard when he does so many other things well and can do secondary ball handling, spot up shooting, all this other great stuff.
Agreed, man. We're gonna do our trivia contest in 5 minutes. Let's go to the phones. JJ from Brooklyn, what's going on, bro?
Yo, what's going on? What's good, fellas?
How you feeling,
man,
bro?
First on the Oladipo, I'm feeling good, man. Wow, the phones sound amazing.
Yeah, crispy. Can you hear me now? Yeah, it's good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But on Oladipo, I mean, he's just not the type of guy I would go for, especially after that brutal, unfortunate injury he had. He's never been overly efficient. You know, him and RJ, I'm just not a fan. Both guys who aren't great shooters. I know RJ's 3-point shot has improved, which is awesome to see. But, you know, his shot's going to come and go. Oladipo's never been a great shooter. He lost some athleticism after injury. Who knows if it comes back. You know, I just don't like that pairing. Then you're going to have to give up picks. Then you're going to have to pay him. So I'd rather go for Alonzo Ball. Even him, you're going to have to give up a lot and then pay him. But I love Lonzo Ball, the way he's improved his three-point shot. He switched his form defensively after point guards like Ben Simmons and Drew Holiday. He's a great defender, Lonzo Ball. But I would still just wait for the off season, try and get a Lonzo Ball or a guy like Norman Powell, who's an absolute bucket, if they don't sign him and he gets the free agency this year. But also on the I get that some people are like, oh, we're finally going to be a decent now and, the best draft in a while. And I get that. But, for us, I think it would be cool to get in. I mean, you don't want to face the Nets in the first round. That would stink to, like, us, potentially get swept by them.
Yeah.
But it's going to, I know some people may not want to hear this, but some people may want to hear it, but there's still a good chance we end up in the lottery. We're not far from it. And when you look at the schedule, it's going to be really, really tough. And then last thing, real quick on that article, it's funny because I actually asked you, CP, a couple weeks ago, do you think that could be like a conflict of interest with Tibbs trying to make like win now moves? And, you said there's definitely a possibility. Then the thing that I found the article kind of a little wild was he called Tibbs called Brock Aller hinky.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to like kill slowly. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, that's the type of guy we need in this front office. So I just hope Tibbs can just chill for a little bit. You know? It's not surprising on Tibbs, but yeah, that's it. Appreciate it, fellas.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks for the call, man. Yeah, he definitely called him hinky. I just hope Aller is the voice of reason for, Wes and Tibbs to, just not make a panic move. You know what I mean? Think about the future. Think about the, the future impacts of the cap and the draft capital when we're going to make these moves, and just don't panic. Just stay patient, continue to draft and continue to build.
CP, one thing, we talked about Scott Perry before, and somebody from another team pointed this out to me a couple weeks ago. Like, Leon Rose, longtime agent, does not have experience as team president. Brock Aller, capologist in Cleveland, hasn't been elevated to the position he is in with the Knicks. William Wesley, no experience in the current position he's in. But so Perry is, the guy who brings experience, who's been in the seat before. So, that team was saying, listen, don't underestimate Perry's voice and his value there, at least in the context of this current group that lacks experience in the positions they're in.
Yeah, I could only imagine that Perry's been integral to being kind of that transition guy and establishing those processes for Leon Rose and that infrastructure, given that, as you said, those guys really don't have any experience. So great job by Perry, man. And if the Porzingis deal, and that's just another lottery pick, I don't know, man. He might have to get some votes to stay. So let's see what happens there. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CPE and Begley, Alex Wolf in the building. Tonight's show is presented by Manscaped, official. Going forward for the rest of the season, KnicksFanTV's live shows will be presented by Manscaped. So salute to all of our friends from Manscaped. Remember, fellas, Manscaped is the #1 men's grooming tool below the waist. You guys are starting to go back outside now. The weather's starting to warm up. Make sure you take care of the family jewels before you go out on that date. Very important, fellas. Do not be out there lacking. Go to manscaped.com and get the Lawnmower 3.0. And for our listeners, as always, you're going to get 20% off plus free shipping with promo code Knicks. So it's a great deal. As you guys know what I like about it, it comes with a ceramic blade technology, so you're not going to nick yourself. Very important. It's got an LED light. If you guys want to do it in the dark, whatever you're into, it's got all of that. Great battery time. It's wireless. Very durable and waterproof. So this is the go-to right here, fellas. Remember, before you go back outside, take care of everything, and I'm going to take care of you guys. 20% off plus free shipping with promo code Knicks.
That is a hell of a read.
That's it, man. We got to pay bills, Ian. We got to pay bills. And
I just want to know, do I get one of these as like my Oprah gift for coming on today?
Hey, you got it, man.
I just started playing ball outside again because it's nice out.
Yeah. You need this thing. Yeah,
I got to take care of the friction.
You got to.
I think it would be pretty useful.
Very important now. Very important. And to celebrate this deal, my guys at Manscaped, we got a great relationship. And I got my guy Kyle on the phone. I said, Kyle, I need something. I need a custom order. He said, CP, what do you need? I said, I need the smallest one you have. Package it up with a magnifying glass. And we're going to send it to Bristol, Connecticut. And I want you to put Maximilian Kellerman on the box. And tell him it's from CP and his friends from KnicksFanTV. My guy Kyle said, I got you, bro. I got you. We'll see what we can do. We'll go to R&D lab and make sure we come out with the smallest one with a magnifying glass. Get that to Bristol, Connecticut. 1-day shipping. Let's get it going.
CP, was there round 2? What happened?
Listen, man, they pulled an old foot trick on me, Ian. They pulled an old foot trick on me. I was in there round 2. We were ready to go. We're talking about Ether and takeover. Then all of a sudden they want to complain that my audio's not working. Well, you heard the callers. We got a brand new mixing board. The callers are good. The audio's A1, crispy, record level setup. And then all of a sudden I cut out. They cut out, man. They pulled the old foot trick on me and then claimed that I'm running some sort of basement setup here. You know, they try to go in on me a little bit, Ian. They try to go in on me. So round 3, I'm showing no mercy, man.
Is there going to be a round 3?
There will be a round 3. Trust and believe there will be a round 3, and that's it. That's it, man.
I love it.
Yeah, that's it. No holds barred, fellas. No holds barred. 100%. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. All right, here we go. We're going to kick off our trivia contest. Dave, make sure you lock off the entries. No more entries. Let's lock it off. And Dave, do me a favor, just highlight everyone who's submitted so far successfully, and then we'll run the drawing after the contest. So Ian and Alex have been prompted, have been prepped. We're going to have 5 questions with the multiple choice of A, B, and C. And once again, whoever you guys predicted to win, those fans will be entered into a drawing for a $50 NBA store gift card. All right, fellas, let me know when you guys are ready to go.
So you're just telling us the questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna run the questions for you. I'm gonna run the questions for you. You could, if you have the video up, you'll be able to see it as well. All right, so let me know when you guys are ready to go.
Good.
Good to go. All right, fellas, here we go. Wait, Dave's pinging me right now. Okay. All right, here we go. First question, fellas. Who holds the record for the most consecutive free throws made in Knicks history? Is it A, Courtney Lee, B, Kiki Vandeweghe, or C, Allen Houston?
When do you want me to hold it up?
And right, as soon as possible. Answers, please. Ian goes A, Alex Wolf goes A. The correct answer is A, Courtney Lee. Good job, fellas. All right. All right. That was an easy one.
That was the one thing we got to write about at the end of a miserable season.
Memorable. You could thank Clyde and Breen for that one.
No doubt.
I definitely remember that.
Constantly reminding us as well, for sure. Okay. So now we got to throw in a monkey wrench here. Number 2. How many playoff appearances have the Knicks had in the 1980s? How many playoff appearances did the Knicks have in the 1980s? Is it A5? Is it B8? Or is it C6? Ooh, yeah. See, they thought we were gonna go easy on them. Ian's going with C, and Alex is going with C. What does the audience say? Well, here it is. The answer. The answer is C.
Whoa.
Oh, a good guess.
6 playoff appearances. All right, so it's 2-2. Here we go. Question number 4. John Starks has the most made three-point field goal attempts in Knicks history. Who has second most? Is it A, Carmelo Anthony, B, Allen Houston, or C, Bill Bradley?
I might be wrong on that.
Ian's going B. Alex Wolf, your answer, please. Alex Wolf is going B. People in the chat are saying the answer is... Oh, the answer is B. Wow. Wow.
Oh, man.
These guys will not go quietly into the night, people. What are we going to do? We only got 5 questions loaded up. All right. This is a doozy here. Here we go. Question 7. Which Knicks player played Major League Baseball in addition to NBA basketball? Is it A, Jerry Lucas, B, Dave DeBusschere, or C, Dick McGuire?
I don't know. This is another guess.
This is a guess.
Alex is going C, and Ian is going B. The correct answer is B. Dave DeBusschere, folks. Yes, he was a pitcher, I believe, for the Chicago White Sox.
I
You know what my rationale was with that?
Yeah.
I thought DeBusschere would be too tall. His strike zone would be huge. How did that man play baseball?
That man did everything.
He probably threw gas.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Smoked cigs in the dugout. You know, coach the Pistons, smoked cigs on the bench. Dave DeBusschere was the man. You know, rest in peace. So our winner, ladies and gentlemen, in a doozy, it's Ian Begley.
Whoa, where's question 5? Did we get question 5?
No, well, what happened was question 5. It was a video, man, but we didn't get the video in time, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll get it back next time. We'll get it back. And since Ian is pressed for time,
That was a well-deserved win anyway.
yeah,
That was a well-deserved win.
Ian hit it at the walk-off, man. Ian hit it at the walk-off. Ian, definitely appreciate you for joining us. Thank you for your
guys.
time, man. Any piece or any content you want to promote as for SOI?
Just check out the Putback, our weekly digital show. Comes out every Wednesday. We had the great Tina Servasio on this week, and we have my buddy M-Grads, Marcus Gradney, who I know he's upset Nick Twitter with his RJ Barrett, Alonzo Trier takes, so he's got more great takes. So come check us out every Wednesday. Appreciate you guys. Alex, CP, always great to be with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for your time, man. Much appreciated. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys, for Ian Begley. Al, you fought, man. You fought valiantly, bro. You know, you hung tight. You hung in there tight, man. It went to the last question. What more could you ask for?
I gave it a shot. You know, I tried my common sense argument. It just didn't work.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it just...
You gave it your all, man. Good effort. Good effort, man. I can't say nothing about it, man. You fought, bro.
Is what it is.
Yeah,
Is what it is. I lost to a good one.
Yeah,
I lost
you
to a
did.
good one.
You did, man. That's all you could say, bro. That's a fact, man. Let me get your camera in here. So to everybody in the chat once again. What you guys think about the Battle of the Fans trivia, man? That's a new wrinkle we're gonna add in, a new segment we're gonna add in, and we're gonna give the fans a chance to win some of these as well, man. So, just another way to have some fun with it. I thought that was good, man. I thought that was really good. Good stuff, Al.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed. I should have known. I read the Harvey Erickson book not that long ago. I feel like that must have come up in there, and I just forgot about it.
I believe it did. I believe it did.
Because then, after that, then he goes to the Pistons and he becomes player coach, and then he hated that. So then that's like part of why he came to the Knicks then, because he was like, I'm not trying to be player coach here. It's stressful. I'm like 24 years old. Like, yeah. Fun stuff.
Legendary stuff what those guys used to be able to accomplish back in those days, man. Legendary stuff. Salute to Dave DeBusschere, man. Rest in peace. Let's go back to the phones. My guy Illa's checking in from T-Dot. What's going on, Illa? How you feeling, bro?
Yo, CP, man, thanks for having me tonight, man. CP, man, you better go for that KO against Kellerman.
I am going to end Kellerman. Believe me, Illa. It is over for Max Kellerman. It is over.
Man, get that snake in the grass, bro.
It's over.
So anyways, I'm going to keep it short tonight. So I'm just going to ask you 2 questions if I can. And you can give me your thoughts. First question is, who do we give credit to for bringing Julius Randle to the Knicks, Steve Mills or Scott Perry? And my second question is, now that we are heading to the second half of the season, and we shouldn't automatically think just because we are currently 5th seed that we're going to make the playoffs, because things can get better, or as you know, things can get things can turn around for the worst. So my question is, despite what happens starting Thursday and the rest of the season, do we give Scott Perry a contract extension, or do you think they move on from him? Your thoughts. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate the call, man. Appreciate the call. I think, on the Randall thing, you don't really know, right? I guess it was a team decision, right? I don't really know what the brain trust was thinking, Al.
Get Ian back on the line.
We needed Ian back on the line for that one, man. 'Cause I'm not really sure, I'm not really sure, man.
I would say based off the type of player that I think both of them like, I would lean more to man, it's tough because I feel like they both kind of liked at the time the offense first sort of players.
Yeah.
I would maybe lean Perry. Maybe that's just me wanting to give him credit. but he sort of seems to track with the type of dudes that Perry's gone after since he's been here. Like, based off his rep coming in, Julius is, I mean, he, I guess, would have been in sort of a similar profile player-wise to Alfred Payton, where not necessarily the most accomplished defensive player, but good at getting to the rim, sort of can create his own shot a little bit, so kind of maybe he seems like a Scott Perry type guy. But I can't say for certain.
Yeah, it's hard to
obviously.
say. I just think, when they got him and things were still fresh when you got him, you said, all right, obviously we lost out on plan A, but I think the overall consensus when we got him was it wouldn't be a bad plan B to get a young player with, room to grow. And that's kind of how I saw the Randall acquisition. Now, obviously, we know last year was a disaster for him, and this year it's been roses. He's been an all-star. He's been everything that you were looking for when you got him. So, whoever it was, whether it was Mills or Perry, you give them credit for at least going out and, yes, they did get the one-year deals and all the power forwards and all that, if you want to feed into that narrative, but they still got a young upstart player on a cheap deal that's now paying dividends for this team.
Mm-hmm. And if I may, on the second part of that question, about whether to retain Perry or not, I mean, I actually kind of like Scott Perry. I feel like I was one of the only people that when they initially fired Mills and they didn't fire Perry, I was like, good. I think that's a good move because I actually like Perry. I think he's a well-connected dude. He's well-respected in the NBA. And, ultimately when they made the Rose hire, I said, yeah, okay, this makes sense. Because it was sort of like Ian was alluding to this before, and it was in the story, in the post. Like, Perry has NBA front office experience, and most of this front office right now has NBA relationship experience, but not front office experience. So I kind of like keeping him around for a little longer. I do wonder, though, maybe you could give your take on this, but there was that sort of media blitz like 2 weeks ago where it seemed like 3 or 4 different guys on the Knicks beat wrote stories about like, oh, the unsung hero of the Knicks being so good, Scott Perry, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's a list of his accomplishments and how good he is. that almost felt like a plant from the Knicks where they were trying to sow the seeds for him to get another job.
Yeah.
And just
throwing his resume out there, right?
Exactly. Like that kind of felt like that. But I can't say for certain, but that's sort of the impression I get. And then maybe he'll be more open to opportunities this offseason. And maybe if one doesn't come along, he sticks with the Knicks. But I get the feeling, and rightfully so, probably, he probably wants something more than effectively being, seems like, probably the 4th most important voice in the room at best right now. It
seems so when you read that article. I mean, I saw the importance of keeping him, and I thought it was very important to keep him based on the fact that, you didn't have any guys with the experience coming in here, whether it was Rose or West or All or whatever. So I definitely saw the importance of it. I thought his record, obviously it wasn't perfect. He's had some hits. He's had some misses. Moutier was a miss. Payton in his role is, questionable, but obviously you saw that. You knew that Perry was, enamored with him and always wanted him. His draft record is up and down. But I think by and large, I would keep him. I would keep him at least for a couple more years until you have that person groomed. I mean, Walt Perrin is the assistant GM. I'm not sure if they have plans to elevate him. He's been a veteran in the game, or I don't know, what his role is per se. But, when it comes to Perry, I wouldn't mind them keeping him. I definitely wouldn't mind them keeping him.
Yeah, and he's a well-respected guy in the NBA.
Yeah.
Those don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
And, it's nice that pretty much everybody in the Knicks front office is people that if you went up to some random dude in an NBA front office and said, hey, what's your opinion on so-and-so? They'd be like, professional, really nice, everybody loves him, everybody likes dealing with him, blah, blah, blah. It's nice to have those sort of guys in the Knicks front office after Isaiah Thomas and Phil Jackson and whatever that everybody hated.
That is a fact, man. Good point. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. What do you guys think in the chat, man? Scott Perry, would you keep him or would you let him walk? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the chat on Scott Perry. Thumbs up if you would keep him, thumbs down if we should let him walk. And let me know. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new. We'll shout you guys out as well. Some super chats came in. Shout out Taco Nacho. Good name. He said, hey, Ian, we need shooting. I think Oladipo will be cheap. Do you think we make a move by the deadline and for who? JJ Redick, I think he's old. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Redick has lost his fastball. Oladipo, I'm definitely not interested in trading for, free agency. The way I look at the Oladipo thing, I was like, you have another inefficient shooter, another inefficient scorer in that lineup if you get him. And then let's say you plan to sign him long term, you're really going to bank on, him and RJ. I don't know, man. I still think we need a true dynamo at the 3. And I'm willing to hold out until we actually get one.
That's the thing. I think people look at the counting stats on Oladipo sometimes and get a little starry-eyed based off where he's at presently. You know, you could look back, whatever, it's already over 3 years ago now when he was a legit MVP candidate almost.
Right.
And you could say, wow, look at his numbers then. And yeah, they were great then. But the thing is, he's putting up kind of similar counting stats now, but on way worse efficiency. I mean, his percentages are just terrible, and I don't really want that kind of energy here. I would prefer RJ, who knows, RJ's been pretty good about, if he doesn't have it going, he lets it go at about 10 shots.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, it's time to start distributing, or,
right.
only taking wide open shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whereas Oladipo, he's kind of a chuck at this point in his career. Maybe it's just because he's been trying to push himself to Miami where he eventually wants to go or something, but I don't know. I'm not on the Oladipo train.
Yeah,
either.
no Oladipo, as they say in the chat. I'm not with it, man. I'm definitely not with it. No panic moves, man. No panic moves. That's where I'm headed. No panic moves. If it drops into your lap, costs you a second round pick here, there. Austin Rivers. I'll make a trade like that.
That's what I was saying when we were on with Ian too. I think there's a chance that Oladipo might be available for way less than we think, because we're not even taking into account Fertitta is broke. He's broke right now, because he was in the restaurant business last year. He was begging the NBA to serve his food in the bubble.
Right.
Keep things afloat. So maybe he just, I think they're still in luxury tax territory or very close to it, and so trading Oladipo might take them out of luxury tax. And maybe that's valuable enough to them that they say, hey, if you can take him and we only take back, Kevin Knox or whatever salary wise for $6 million or whatever Knox makes, which the Knicks could do for Oladipo makes about $20 million. And they have roughly $15 million in space right now. So they could just basically absorb Oladipo into space. Maybe that's worth it to the Rockets. And they say, hey, just give us Kevin Knox. And, I'm not in love with divorcing ourselves from Knox without seeing what he is fully, but that's the moves that I could get behind. But that's about as far as I'd go. That or a second round pick.
Agreed. Shout out to Money Mark S. He says, question for Bagels. Ian left, guys. Sorry, but we'll do our best to answer. He says, what does he think is Frank's role with the team for the second half of the year and potentially next year? I see Frank as a good defensive and chemistry piece. Salute to KFTV. Salute to Money Mark for always supporting. What's your take on Frank? He's come in now a couple of games, started in San Antonio. That was a disaster. But other than that, he did shoot the ball well against San Antonio for sure. But shooting the 3 much more efficiently. And I felt like he's been a lot more aggressive as soon as he came in. I think the first game he came in, I was there. I was at the Sacramento game. And, it seemed like he shot the ball well. His defense was always there. What do you think the future holds for Frank?
I think, I might not be Ian Begley, but I based off reading different things from some of the beat guys, and from I just talked to Berman, as it turns out, earlier today for Locked On Knicks. So I got a little bit of insight from Berman, and Berman seemed to be of the opinion that Frank might have played himself into a role with this team at minimum for the rest of the season. Because we were kind of talking trades with him and stuff, and he was like, yeah, if this was a couple months ago, they might have traded Frank or whatever. And then sort of just slid in there but, I think that they see the value in Frank, even if he's out of the rotation initially when everybody gets healthy. I think they see the utility in him as a player and this, that, and the other. So there's that. And then in Ian's writing, not to speak for Ian, but in a lot of his writing lately, he was one of the first ones to drop a nugget in there a few weeks ago about hey, maybe Frank's not totally out of the rotation yet. And then lo and behold, a week or two later, Frank ends up getting back in the rotation. So I think maybe there's a chance that Frank's sticking around. Hopefully long term, because I've really liked what I've seen from him.
I have
to this point.
I agree. I have. And again, the defensive effort has definitely been there, and he hasn't been gun shy. And that was one of my biggest concerns with him. I don't think he's ever really going to be that aggressive, drill into the paint type of dude. But at least let it fly, man, and stop being scared to shoot. Let that thing go. That free throw line extended mid range that he has, similar to RJ. Let those go when you coming off the curls. From Taj, the curl screens and things of that nature. As far as the rotation, though, I just don't know, man, because I look at it as with Rose and Peyton back, they're gonna be there. Quickly's gonna be there. Burks has his spot for now. I think Bullock is locked in, right? We know Bullock's minutes are going to be locked in. I just don't know. Is it Obi whose minutes get cut for Frank? Is it you get what I'm saying? Because I look at it as, okay, you have your starting five, they're set. Coming off the bench, you're either going to have Rose, more than likely Rose, IQ, Burks, Obi, Noel. Once you have your full everybody, a full deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think what might have to happen is a trade. I think you might have to move Alec Burks or something, which was alluded to in the Yaron piece. He said that the Knicks basically signed Burks and Rivers and some of those guys with the express intent of trading them. So that might be what it takes. When they're fully healthy. I think at least initially, tomorrow we'll still get to see Frank because Rose is going to be out.
Right.
So presumably, his role is going to be steady there. But even after that, I mean, I guess maybe you could potentially throw him out there in 3 guard lineups if you want to go that way, which I guess would require, I don't know, I guess less minutes for RJ, which maybe is a good thing, maybe a bad thing, depending on the night.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be tricky though. I think the ultimate thing that's gonna change it around and make it work for Frank is that there's gonna have to be a trade or something, because otherwise I just don't really see it. It's gonna be difficult for him again to crack the rotation, despite playing really well and shooting like unlimited attempts, but like he's shooting like 62% from 3 right now or something.
That's a fact, man. So we'll see how that goes. What do you guys think? We know the Frank Hive is in there. If the Frank Hive is in the building, throw a hashtag Frank Hive in the chat. Let us know you're in there.
Are you guys generally Frank Hive in the chat? I always forget.
The Frank Hive is alive and well in the chat, man. It's been a while though, you know what I mean? Because he hadn't played, so they've been lurking, they've been creeping in the shadows, but
they gotta crawl out of the hive.
The hive is there. The hive is there, Shirley Willis says, you guys stop. So clearly Shirley Willis is not in the Frank Hive. That's for sure.
I am Frank Hive. For what it's worth. I mean, I judge him fairly. That's the thing with Frank. Some people have gone way too far one way or the other. If he has a good night, the people that want to defend him no matter what want to say he's going to be like a superstar or something. That's pushing it too far. He's not. He's going to be a good role player. And then if he has a bad night, then all the people tout that as like, see, I told you he's the worst player in the NBA. It's a garbage argument. I don't know what. I just like him because he's a cool kid.
Yeah. Kid can't win, man. Salute to Frank. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Jeffrey Vasquez says, do you see us getting rid of players like Knox or Rivers? Salute to my Knicks squad, ready for the second half, all 72. Yeah, I think as Tibbs has said, if there's a trade he wants, they're gonna pull it. I'm just not sure what it is, man. I'm just not
another Berman nugget. It sounds like Rivers is like gone.
Yeah, seems like it, right?
Yeah, I mean the way he put it sounds like Rivers is quietly kind of seething over not playing too. So
because there was one of the games he wasn't even there. I think the Kings game. I think I saw him. It was was it good? The Golden State game? One of those games, those recent home games. He wasn't even there. They didn't say why, but he wasn't even on the bench.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand, I guess, to some degree. Particularly that one game where they were real short on guard depth, where Frank was starting, and it seemed like, okay, maybe this is the game that, you just throw Rivers out there for a few minutes, let him get his final trade audition.
Wasn't it?
And
he didn't get it.
Couldn't even get off the bench for that. I'm like, he's done.
Tough.
It's over.
That's tough sledding, man. The business is tough, man. He had said all the right things coming into the press conferences and things like that, and we won't back down. But he just wasn't fitting in. Unfortunately,
I think he's got a ball stopping way about him.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't think that's conducive to what Tibbs wants to do, which is why he's been more likely to play a guy like Frank lately. And maybe I was alluding to it a minute ago, but maybe also the reason the Quickly's minutes have been down lately is that, if Tibbs sees that you're prioritizing yourself over getting the team going, I don't think that sits well with him.
Yeah.
But that's just anecdotal. Like I don't have anything to support
Agreed,
that,
but it's noticeable. It's obvious.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's obvious, man. So I agree with you there. Salute to the R, sends a super chat. He says, keep the squad we have, trust the process, and keep grinding. Okay. All right. Rich Jim says, what do you think about getting Josh Hart? I would love to get Josh Hart. I just don't think a guy like that is available.
Yeah, are they trying to move him?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would love it otherwise.
Wishful thinking, man. Wishful thinking.
Yeah.
So, hey, I would love to get Josh.
Apparently, every guard or wing on the Pelicans is available.
Yeah, right. Nah, I don't think David Griffin is that easy to pull a fast one on, man. I don't think it's that easy to pull a fast one on. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to San Antonio down at the Alamo. Chris, what's going on, bro?
Yo, my fault. I was on speaker. How you guys doing?
Oh, good, Chris. How you feeling, bro?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm watching the Spurs game. They're down on the Mavericks right now, but I think they're going to pull it up. I think the Mavericks going to have another L in the column.
All right, cool.
I got faith in DeRozan.
Good.
But I'm wondering what you guys think about who the next player should be. Prototypical, not necessarily a specific player next to Randall, because I know you guys hear a lot of calls, especially tonight, but throughout your shows about different players that could come, and I'm wondering what kind of prototype fits next to Randall, because a lot of people are saying that he could be a good 2 or 3, but right now he's our best guy, so assuming he's going to be our best player going forward, and nobody much better than him is going to come soon. I was thinking I won Kyra from the draft, but I just realized that Fred VanVleet was also a player who I really liked, and I was going over some of his stats. I feel like he would fit a lot of the problems that our team has and help fix them up. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get him, but I feel like a player of that mold. It's also interesting because we were talking about Mike Conley in the offseason, and he's going to be a free agent as well. And then we have our own free agents in D Rose and Alfred Payton, and all those guys are like similar age between Fred and Mike and D Rose and Conley. They all match up pretty close in age. So I'm just wondering what kind of player you guys feel like would be prototypical or a specific player that you guys just really want to get on the team going forward to fit next to Randall specifically.
Appreciate it, man. Al, what are you thinking there?
Man, I guess it depends on if we're talking like ideal world or if we're talking like realistically to some degree.
I would just say like prototype. You know, maybe not a specific player, but a prototype.
I think an elite scoring wing.
Me too, man.
That can handle the ball. I don't know exactly who that is, based off, whether it's going to be through the draft or free agency or what. But, I think because of Randall's ball handling ability, you don't necessarily need to prioritize a super elite, point guard that can distribute, every single possession. Like you don't need a prime Chris Paul type. Obviously you would never turn that type of player away. And there's more than one type of player that can fit with Randall. But I think if you got a player, I guess, honestly, it stings to say, but if I was going to pick one player that's probably the ideal archetype for who I'd want playing next to Randall as like a second star, granted this would make the player better than him, but I would take Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I was just, I know you were going to say that.
I think that he'd be the guy because, Durant, he can play the 3. But we've seen in Golden State, even if he's playing the 3, he can provide a little bit of help rim protection. I think he's a little overrated as a defender. Like especially post injury. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be like the perfect, defender, but he wouldn't have to be in that lineup because Randall's very good defensively. Mitch is great defensively, obviously. So he provides what he needs to provide. And then just the scoring. I mean, you can have Randall driving in and kicking it to KD. You can have KD driving in and kicking it to Randall. You can have just so many different things with those two guys out there. But Durant is kind of the guy that everybody in the NBA wants. So what are you gonna do?
I've been saying we need a dynamo at the 3, man. Yes, we need a point guard for sure. We need a long-term option at the point, but we need that dynamo at the 3, especially if you're gonna have RJ locked in at the 2. Not saying that RJ is not gonna be a prolific scorer, but just saying that you need some a more consistent shooter, and give you some more off-ball spacing for Randall. You know, Bullock, again, as you said, we see what Tibbs likes in Bullock is being that multi-positional defender, bringing that energy, so on and so forth. But, you know, the 3-shot attempts a game or 2-shot attempts a game, it's just not enough in this offense. You need somebody that's going to give you a bit more volume. And I think somebody at the 3 would be ideal. Obviously, the point guard would be ideal. I liked how I got to see what the numbers are in terms of the 2-man game with Peyton and Randall. But you know overall Peyton's assist numbers are down. I liked Rose and Randall's chemistry when Rose got those couple of games starting, man. I thought he really got Randall involved in the pick and roll, pick and pop game, and that was another element of Randall's game that we haven't seen. And that's also an area I think that can also help him, you know, as teams start to key in on him and start to make those adjustments where he doesn't have to always go one-on-one and try to make a play for himself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think point guard play is obviously still valuable. You know, I'm not. I just think if I had a choice between, trying to think like I wouldn't throw Steph out there, but because Steph I think is different. Steph is like a 1-2 guard hybrid. He just runs all over and shoots from everywhere. That's totally different. But you know, I guess would Lillard be like the prototypical point guard after that? Yeah, you think?
Dallas for sure.
Yeah, and then you know the prototypical small forward would be Durant. Like I think that Lillard, like a bit of what he can give you with 2 players like, you know, like Durant and Randall, or I don't know. I got to scale down this Durant thing. This like sounds very pipe dream.
But like we're talking prototype. Not realistic.
If you can get an elite scoring wing, I think that's harder to find than you know a point guard. You know, that's
to
like
be
a scoring point guard. Like. The Knicks already got one. I mean, in a way, they have quickly already. You know, and they just got him at the 25th pick in the draft. Granted, he was a steal, but you know, those sort of guys I think are a little easier to find that can score and distribute some from the 1. You know, more so than like an elite wing like a Durant or I don't know, even like Brandon Ingram. You know, who's maybe not quite as good this year as he was last year, but you know, Ingram's still a very good player, very talented at scoring the basketball, and that's hard to find, you know, from a tall dude like that.
Agreed, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Alex Wolf on the check-in. Oh, we gotta do our giveaway, man. We gotta do our giveaway here. What's going on? Somebody in the chat going off?
Yeah, I've seen a couple in there. One was like, he really said Randall's good at defense. Randall is good at defense this year, man. Watch the games. Randall is good on defense.
Yeah, I've liked Julius on the defensive end this year. I've liked him on the defensive
absolutely.
end.
And then saw another one that said Wolf setting everybody up for the letdown. I'm like, oh man, this is what I didn't want to do.
Welcome back, Alex. Welcome back, man.
Oh man,
it's just tough love from the chat, baby. Tough love from the chat. TM says 25 likes away from 500. Let's get those thumbs up button. Hit those likes. Let's get those likes up. My guy Raw Hebrew Remnant is back in the chat, man. Raw Hebrew, what's going on? Hope all is well. Junior Karoma, how you feeling? Junior sent a super chat. What do you say? Junior super chat said Frank, he is Frank Hive, Alex, and he says we desperately need another shooter. Realistically, who can you see the Knicks really targeting before the deadline? I don't know, man. As I said, I think it could be a name that we're just not thinking about, because I just, you know, of the names, the typical, Beal's not realistic. I don't think he's available. I don't think Levine's available. Those don't make any sense. And Oladipo, we've touched on it, you know, at length. I just don't know. Like I said, Terrence Ross, is it Fournier? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I feel like someone's going to come out of nowhere. I mean, think about it. We just saw today, LaMarcus Aldridge all of a sudden is parting ways with the Spurs. And it's like, you probably wouldn't have assumed that a few days ago. Although their relationship's always been kind of weird. It was so strange. Sorry, not to tangent, but remember, like, he went out of his way to sign there. And it was like this huge thing, homecoming, I'm going to Pop. Like, Aldridge played on Team USA too, right? With Pop as one of the assistants, I think.
Pretty sure.
And, you know, so he knew him and everything. And it seemed like right from the first season there, it seemed like Aldridge, it was always like, Aldridge isn't totally in love with how Pop coaches the team, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, you had a choice of anywhere, including the Knicks. And you chose there. Like,
that was your choice.
Man. You made your bed.
You made your bed, bro. That absolutely, man. So good luck to him. We'll see if he ends up with the Brooklyn Ring Chasers or something. You know,
that would just be
along
weird,
with Drummond and Blake, and give me a break.
Final score, they'd have final scores like 180 to 172.
Give me a break
if they have that.
Man, garbage, man. Give me a break. Ring chasers, man. All ring chasers out. All ring chasers, man.
I don't even fault guys for ring chasing to some degree. I do think though that the NBA, I have no idea how to fix it, but the NBA buyout system is broken in some way. Like there just needs to be some sort of financial harm put on the teams that pick these dudes up that literally like Blake Griffin could sign a 2-year contract with the Nets at the veterans minimum right now and still make $30 million a year because he got
crazy.
bought out for $30 million a year from the Pistons. It's just I don't know. It's kind of stupid.
It's cheap, man. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's the Pistons too, man. You want to talk about the ugliest cap sheet in basketball?
Terrible.
Oh my God.
Good luck to Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, seriously.
Good luck
it's
to
gonna
you,
be him
man.
and only him for the next 2 years.
Facts.
That's all they can afford.
Fact. Brian from New Jersey. Brian, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and clear, man. We got a new phone system going on, Brandon. We can hear you loud and clear, man. You've been able to hear us the whole show. What's going on? Bro?
I know. Nah, I was gonna talk about Fournier, but this man Antonio took my idea like almost an hour ago. So now I'm here looking like free agents or people. Yeah, I mean, one person I think that's interested is Rudy Gay. If I'm being honest, he's a player who can give you buckets. He plays good team defense. He's not the worst one-on-one defender. And the best thing also, he gets off the books at the end of the year. So players like that, like there's no need to go for a big name like Victor Oladipo. He's a good player and all. I mean, if it's like a Andre Drummond level package, where after y'all saw him like a bag of chips and like a Kool-Aid or something like that, then it's worth it. But other than that, no need to go for big names. It's just players who's gonna help you right now. Nothing big. Cause you get a Rudy Gay with his second round pick and like Kevin Knox.
Well, it's a good question, man. Appreciate the call. Al, what are you thinking of Rudy Gay?
You know what's really funny? When I did like a little bit of parsing through the questions that came in on Twitter to make sure I wouldn't be like totally caught off guard on any of these before we started. And one of the questions is like, who are some guys you would want to go after potentially in free agency? And Gay was one of the guys I wrote down. If you can get him through trade, maybe go for it. But he is an unrestricted free agent this summer. I definitely think he's a guy I'd go after. Like in his late career, I don't know if. I mean, I definitely was doing this for a little bit. I was still associating like his early career with him, where he was just kind of an inefficient volume scorer, and didn't really have just a very appealing game to help a team win. He was great at putting up individual stats, but that was about it.
Yeah,
he's really evolved, man. Like some of the on-off numbers for him with San Antonio are staggering. Like I was pretty convinced that the Knicks were going to beat them the other week, just because Rudy Gay wasn't playing. Because literally when he's out there,
we had a chance. Thought we had a good chance.
Yeah, like he affects winning so much for them. I think he's just really settled in, like in his latter years of just being like, he's got that like old man strength now. So like he plays a very sturdy 4-man now, and can hold his own down on defense. But then for two, like he's a solid 3-point shooter now. He just kind of does a little bit of everything. I don't know. I like him. I don't know that I would necessarily go so far as to say I'd be lining up to give up like any assets for him, even if it's just Knox. Yeah. Just because I think you could just get him for money this offseason if you really want to.
Yeah. He's one of the veteran pieces.
Definitely a guy I like. A good potential backup for Julius Randle. Although again, that throws some OB, ponderings in there as to how that would affect things, because he's definitely a 4 at this point. He's not really a 3 anymore. He's too slow for that. So
true story. 2 more calls before we wrap up. Angel from Philly. Angel, what's going on, bro?
Hey, CP, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, Alex, what's going on, brother?
Yo.
So listen, you said something earlier about, should we extend Scott Perry? I think we should, because, a couple years ago, we didn't have cap space, we didn't have draft capital, and, he definitely, changed that around. Obviously it took time, so I think we should just stay the course with him. But as far as, like, the trade, it just kind of looks like we're really not going to make any serious moves, so I think we should be patient and maybe just add some shooting. And obviously, when it comes to free agency, before we even worry about that, we got to make the playoffs, bro, because ain't nobody going to come to New York and we're missing the playoffs. We had to learn that the hard way a couple years ago when we were 17 and 65, dreaming that we was going to get Kevin Durant. So we got to show that, if you come to New York, that, you're not going to be alone, because obviously we got one All-Star. And if we could build around RJ and the young core that we do have, maybe if we make the playoffs, then it'll be realistic for those star players to come to New York.
Mm-hmm.
But until we make that leap, we just got to stay patient, and I think my last point when it comes to the schedule, I really think we should start Derrick Rose, because this team is just different when we have a scoring point guard who can obviously, make the players better. When you look at the schedule, Peyton ain't going to get the job done against these teams we're getting ready to play. So, I just think that, it's going to be interesting to see if we should start Rose, or he's just going to be stubborn and stick to the same rotations. But, CP, thanks for that hat, man. I got it. It's definitely
Fresh,
fire.
bro.
So I just want to show you love from Philly. And thanks for taking my call, bro. Appreciate it.
Fresh, bro. Appreciate it, Angel. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'd like to see Rose get elevated into that starting lineup. I just like the dynamic he brings, man. Just being a threat to score. I liked how him and Randall were cooking. I like how him and RJ were coming together. Let me hang up on that phone. Hang on. Yeah, yeah, I'd like to see Rose in there. It just depends on how much minutes. How many minutes are they going to give him? Maybe Tibbs would rather see him finishing. So maybe and again the chemistry that him and IQ have, it could end up being the same. Al, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is Rose pushes the pace
right
when he's out there. Elf doesn't do that. Elf always wants to get the ball, bring it up, and get into a half court set. But the thing is, his version of a half court set isn't even that compelling. It's like
it's me driving to the hoop.
Yeah, you could get to the Elf in theory should want to push all the time because his game is perfect for that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing he should succeed at is just run and get layups, on the other end and try to draw contact. And the few times we see him do that, it works. But Rose, yeah, for sure. He's, I think that he's definitely a better fit for the starting lineup. Now that it creates some questions about the backups, defense, because then do you move Elf to the bench? And I feel like that doesn't benefit quickly.
No.
And doesn't really benefit any of the guys there. It doesn't benefit Toppin because he's not a great passer, like a lob passer. It doesn't really benefit Burks because I guess maybe it's fine for Burks. I don't know if he succeeds with Bullock, he could probably succeed with Burks, but it doesn't really work for Noel either, as we've seen recently. Ideally Noel's your backup, and Noel needs picture perfect lobs that are basically in the hoop already.
Yeah, right.
And that's not really Elf's forte.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like you solve one problem to create another problem.
Facts.
By moving him. And I hate to
90
I don't like to always sound like a hater on him, what I mean? Like on Elf, but it's just kind of the reality. He doesn't provide anything other than the drives. We see 4 possessions per game probably where he ends up in the corner all alone.
And he's just
and when he gets past the ball, and no matter what, it's bad.
You're just this is no good.
He's either going to drive in and run into traffic because they're packing the paint on him, or he's going to shoot it, which is basically a turnover. I'm sorry, when he shoots a corner 3, it's basically a turnover because
seconds.
It's just not good. So.
Yeah. Agreed, man. Agreed. Let's wrap this up with the man himself, Ron Cleveland, in the building. Ron, how you doing, bro?
Man.
He's back.
What's going on, CP?
What's good, Ron? How you feeling, bro?
Mr. Wolf, I should call you the Teen Wolf. You heard me? Hey, man. Hey, you know what's going on. It's all about these Knickerbockers, man.
Yeah.
We 5th in the East. This thing is set up beautifully. Scott Perry, there's no question you keep the guy. The guy did like the other caller said, he cleaned the cap. He got this thing right. He kept us from having that bad contract called KP. We would have had a bad one right now, CP.
10
shades of
seconds.
that Amari deal. It would have been shades of Houston. It would have been shades of Eddie Curry. Just a bad deal.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Scott Perry. Now, my thing is, when I look at the front office, I'm telling you the way this team is set up right now. This thing is set up, ladies and gentlemen, for us to be good, sustainable winning for the next 10 years if they don't mess this thing up. You know what I mean? If they make the right moves, because you got draft picks, you got young players on rookie deals that's going to send Julius Randle 26 years old. You let this thing cook. In my opinion, you let this thing cook. If you do any kind of trades, you do minimal trades. You go find us a small forward, because that small forward position is our biggest Achilles heel, because you got three guys in that small forward position that I call the three Houdini amigos. You don't know when they're going to show up. They'll pull a disappearing act in a minute with Mr. Alex Burke and Mr. R&B, and I ain't talking about no rhythm and blues. I'm talking Reggie Fuller, and I'm talking about Kevin Knox, who can't get off the pine. So them three guys give us actually nothing. So when I think about it, you stay the course, and I would be a proponent, I'm telling you right now, who would be an absolute perfect piece for this team. Only thing about this guy name I'm going to call is the timeline with his contract, because I want to go big game hunting at the end of the season and go out and get that claw, man, try to get him to bring him here. You know what I mean? But Harrison Barnes would be a perfect fit for this team. Harrison Barnes is only 28 years of age, and the guy is actually scoring about 16, 17 points a game, 6 rebounds, and about 6 assists, somewhere in there, shooting like 40% from three and over 80 from the free throw line. He would be a perfect fit, and his contract every year, it actually de-escalates. It doesn't increase. He would be a perfect timeline, and go get JaVale McGee. Go get JaVale McGee. We need a big body center, because them guys are lightweight. We don't have no big body center. And Taj is, like I said the other night, is a good player, but still, man, we got to make the move. And this is the last thing I got to say, CP. That article coming out talking about the Knicks this and the Knicks that in the Post, I ain't even feeding into that, man, because right now we got a good thing going. I ain't into no negative energy. I don't want us looking at nobody, because that article will have you looking at people's side eye. You know what I mean? We don't need that, man. This thing is running in the right direction. Let's
stay focused, right?
And go knock down them Bucks tomorrow night, and I'm out, man.
Appreciate
y'all have a good evening, man.
Appreciate it, Rob. Appreciate it, man. Good call. Good to hear from you as always, man. Yeah, Ron had said that that JaVale McGee pickup. I looked at it as an insurance, just in case Mitch doesn't come back, not knowing what his timetable is. But I think they said today, Tibbs said he wasn't scrimmaging, but his conditioning is all right, or he's running conditioning drills or something.
Yeah, I mean, time flies. We're already coming up on the 4-week timetable. Yeah. So it's 4 to 6 weeks. So within the next, 16, 17 days, we should see Mitch again. So I'm not rushing to get another center. I don't know about, to the point there, you're saying, you need JaVale McGee because Mitch and Noel aren't big enough. I think Mitch and Noel have done a perfectly good job on the inside.
Noel's done well. Noel's done very well. But he's another guy. He's just so real thin, man. You just don't know from an injury standpoint.
They're not the best rebounders, I'll say.
Policy. Yeah,
but Randall picks up the slack there a lot. So and RJ's a good rebounder for his position and stuff like that. So I'm not, I'm not too worried about those two, and about trying to go get other help other than what we already have on the roster for center. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts on the McGee thing. That was the one that stood out to me in that little rant there. I was like, oh, McGee. Of all guys, why is that the guy?
I hear it, man. Well, great show. Great show, my guy. Glad to have you back on the show. You, like I said, man, you gave it your all in that trivia contest. It's time for the people to go home a winner. We got to find out who won. Who picked Team Ian Begley for the 50-day store gift card? And let's see who it is. Let me just try and figure out where this window's at.
I'll take this opportunity to apologize to all the people that voted for me. Sorry,
yeah, they're never voting for you again, man.
I'll be back. I'll go on a 5-game win streak, and they'll be going, no, doesn't matter.
Facts. All right, so here we go. We got the names in here. Everybody who voted Team Begley. And the winner of the $50 NBA store gift card is Steven Wheelbacker. Steven Wheelbacker, you have won the $50 NBA store gift card. So congratulations to you. We'll get in contact with you and get your information and send that over to you, man. Congratulations, Stephen Wildbacker. And to everybody that played, like I said, this is a new addition to the show, Battle of the Fans. We're going to add some wrinkles to it. As I said, I had the video ready. I didn't have the video ready, but that was going to be another wrinkle as well. So we're going to continue to do these things. Great job, Al, either way. Go ahead and sign out, man. Let them know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, you can check me out on Twitter at the Alex Wolf. You can check out the Strickland, my blog answer to KnicksFanTV, by the fans for the fans.
By the fans for the fans.
You know, try and do our own thing. At the Strickland on Twitter, the Strick.land in your web browser. Check out Locked On Knicks. That's my more corporate venture. You know, at Locked On Knicks on Twitter. Or LockedOnKnicks.com or wherever you get podcasts. And that's it, man. As if that's not enough. But yeah, check out all those places. Check me out on Twitter and all that. And thanks for having me back on, man. This is awesome. I missed the show. I missed Knicks Fan TV Nation, you know?
Absolutely, man. Always good to have you on, man. Thanks again for your time. And salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for your squad. CP Alex Wolf. Thank you to Ian Begley for coming through. Continue the conversation, man. You know, we have our Discord chat. We have our Twitter group. You can always comment after the show's over. Shout out to the replay gang if you guys are watching this during the replays as well. So there's always ways to keep in contact with us. Always ways to connect. And remember, go to manscaped.com, www.manscaped.com, promo code Knicks for 20% off plus free shipping. And yeah, we're gonna send that custom order to Kellerman, man. I got some smoke for Kellerman, man. They try to play me, man. After that first round KO, they said they try to get Skip back. It was so bad, Al. The devastation after my first round KO of Max Kellerman on his own show. They wanted.
I'm surprised they let him come back the next day.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
and I showed up, and they try to pull the old foot trick on me. They try to say, "Oh, he's a rookie. He's an upstart. He's a novice. His connection is no good." You know that was BS. You know that was BS, people. I got some.
I haven't caught today's yet to see you going in on him the second time, but I'm sure it was at a hot moment.
Yeah.
And then he just decided, he's going off camera, cut it off.
He knew what I was coming for, man. That's it. Real quick, Knicks versus Bucks tomorrow. Knicks beat the Bucks, embarrassed them, 130 to 110 at MSG, man. What's a key to this game tomorrow night in Milwaukee? Tough game.
Just staying focused, I would say. You know, don't let I'm sure that they've been reading all the praise for the last week and change.
Yeah.
You know, since they entered the break over 500, basically just don't let it get to your head. You know, like I think this Knicks team is good, man. Like if they're not, you know, they're not a contender, but they're fun and they try and they, you know, kick ass a lot of nights. And I think they got some of that more in for the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Winning over the Bucks would be a good way to start, but
definitely
I haven't looked at the Bucks injury report yet. I would assume that they're probably pretty healthy after the All-Star break. So, you know, you might be running into a juggernaut there, but this is a good opportunity to show like, hey, we belong, we deserve to hang here, you know, and be a playoff team this year. So
good opportunity.
I don't know, just stay focused. Yeah. It's tough to say though what the result's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think just the one thing I want to watch is the 3-pointers made in percentage. You know, the Bucks obviously one of the top 10 in 3-point makes. They came into that game or left the Garden that night 7-38 from downtown, 18%. So they're gonna test that Knicks 3-point defense. Knicks 3-point defense #1 in the league right now in terms of percentage.
This is another good test for those people that say the clock is ticking. You know, the Knicks are going to regress to the mean. The 3-point defense isn't going to be this good for the whole year. Blah blah blah. Well, all right, here you go. First test out of the All-Star break.
Here we go. First test. Yep. And you guys know where to catch us after that. Knicks Post Game Live, #1 show for the fans by the fans. See you guys tomorrow, man. Al, great show.